Right. Happy 11/11. I know a lot of people consider it to be, I've had people, call me and tell me, they're like, oh, it's angel numbers, blah, blah, blah. So apparently very powerful for manifesting and so on. And just happens to be my birthday. So it feels extra exciting. Yeah. Oh, I never thought about it, she says. It's 11/11. It's true. And we will all be together at 11/11, which is very exciting. Maybe I'll chime the bowl right at that time so that, yeah. Well, and so, like I said, just happens to be my special day, but 11/11 in general, the ones are supposed to be very useful for manifesting. And so if there's anything that you are wanting to manifest, bring into your life, either a state of interior experience for yourself or sort of an outward intention for your life and your peoples or whatever, it's useful. I feel like whether you believe it or not, any good excuse to be intentional, right? Like, so full moon, new moon, whatever, like just 11/11, do it. New Year's, awesome. My intention is to continue to cultivate greater states of ease in my body, which is some of this fascia release stuff that we've been focusing on, and we're doing a little bit more today as practice. And to somehow still do all the things that I'm really excited about giving my attention to. As many of you know, it's been construction and remodeling and all kinds of things, and somehow find more margins. I noticed that having margins, meaning, time and space that is not planned, is not dedicated, is to me the thing that makes me feel most easeful and abundant. I just feel like I'm living the best life, even if I'm, working hard or doing a lot. If those margins are there, it really transforms my experience. So that's one of my intentions, is to continue to be more conscious around kind of planning in margins, protecting them, because things will weave in. So we are going to start off with breath, just lying on the back body. Breath is one of the greatest ways to bring spaciousness into our lives. Both literally, the act of breathing deeply creates more space in the body, but giving the breath our attention creates a kind of quiet spaciousness for the mind. So whenever you find that your mind is just too fast, too busy, too chaotic, please remember that you have this resource always available to you. It's free, it's with you, and you can even do it, in public. You maybe wouldn't lay down, but you can give your breath attention. So please come into our 3 points of introversion, turning your gaze up and in towards the third eye. And from there, you're noticing what's inside, colors, darkness behind the eyes. And then inviting you to connect the tip of the tongue at the roof of the mouth. As you do that, notice the rest of the mouth, the rest of the tongue, the cheeks, the jaw, and invite it to be soft, melting, and literally spacious. So the tip of the tongue is connected, but there's this beautiful spaciousness inside where you could hold a delicate flower, shell, morsel of delicious food, maybe your favorite little thing, whatever it might be. And you can create additional spaciousness with a soft smile. Someone looking at you might not see it, but you can feel, again, kind of the broadening of your cheeks. The third point of introversion that I just love, and I love to keep going throughout the yoga practice, but also use it in life off of the mat. So even walking, if you're in a hurry or what have you, adding ujjayi, that little throat contraction that makes your breath sound like the HVAC, in fact, kind of a whooshing of wind or air, ocean waves. And you can even imagine if your mind has felt like it's got a lot of detritus going, again, chaos. You can imagine the kind of whooshing wind of ujjayi breath clearing the surface of the mind. Maybe you imagine it like a soft a pond, and there's the surface of the pond that is covered and littered in leaves and so on. And as you ujjayi breathe, you sweep the surface clear until there's just a soft kind of glassy surface. And that is your place that you get to exist until the next thoughts come flying in there like they do. And you just return to your points of introversion. You can use all three. You can focus more just on one if that feels most effective for you. And while you don't technically breathe up into your cranium, for example, or down into your calf muscles, etc., I'm going to ask you to imagine the breath journeying to both ends of the body. You know, maybe it has a color. Maybe you see it coursing through your veins along with the blood. When I imagine it traveling up into the head and the base of the skull, I can almost immediately feel release and softening in some of those gripping tissues. Again, if the mind wanders, you might use language to bring it back. You might ask, is there more? Is there more inhale? Is there more exhale? You might notice where fabric is moving against your skin. And if you have any particular intention for, again, well-being in your body, of your being, your soul and spirit, or again, more practical intentions for your life, this would be a lovely time to repeat some sort of affirmation mantra, some sort of prayer request. The next time you're exhaling, I invite you to hold out. This is a nice entry point into breath locks where we hold out and we hold in as long as we can, but without it being a struggle, without forcing it. We simply ask, can I soften around this? Can I hold a little while longer? Then when you need, you'll inhale and hold in, internal breath lock. When you've released your next breath lock, go ahead, please, and just reach arms overhead and just start organically reaching and stretching. Oh, you might reach through the feet as well, rolling through wrists, ankles. Oh, yeah. Nice. And then if you would bring your hands around your right knee to come into release wind pose. This is one of my favorite poses. It offers so much fluidity. I'm hoping you feel that stretch, especially if you've got both feet flexed. Hoping you feel that stretch all the way down the back line of the straight leg. I'm hoping you feel some hip stretch in the leg that you've got bent. Do a quick check, please, on shoulders and neck and intentionally soften. Slowly switch. Try to remember what that side felt like. And as you now gather the left knee into the belly, both feet flexing firmly, try to assess, is this side different? Notice, please, if the knee of the straightening leg is not clicking straight. That would be an indication then of overabundance of tension up in the hip flexor, and so on, and hamstring. And so we really need to fire up the quadricep, that whole front of the thigh. Oh, and you're going to need this later when we're doing our calf stretch that I referenced. It's something called Sherrington's Law, that it's really about partnering muscle groups. If we want the hamstring to let go, we've got to contract the quad. Right. We're going to take both legs straight and wide out on the mat. So your leg flat, like corpse pose, but your legs are wide. You got it. And if it's too wide, because some of you went big, and I love it there, feet are off the mat. You're going to be crossing your right ankle over your left. And so you may not want your feet wider than the mat itself. Might be way too much. Okay. So cross right ankle onto left. Ideally, legs are straight. And then slowly and steadily, you can even flex through your right heel. Slowly and steadily reach through your right arm. And so you're reaching above the head. And then rotating your face to the left, continue to reach long through the arm and take it towards the center line until you get kind of to your max stretch. And please send breath in there. Remember, breath is our change agent. It can help us create space and fluidity like nothing else can. Stay as long as this is feeling really nourishing. And then when you come out, I recommend releasing the arms stretch first, then uncrossing the ankles and they go back to the outside of the mat. And then we'll take our left ankle over right. Of course, reaching up through that left arm, rotating the face away. Is this side different? And where do you experience the difference? Right? Is it through the hip and the IT bands? Is it into the waist, lat muscle, shoulder? What you got? Can you get your arms straight? This is just like the leg. We need to train our partnering muscle groups. So the tricep, for example, to be able to make that quadricep or that bicep, let go. It's so great. I love it when I look out and people are taking their free hand and touching places, exploring, like, yeah, where is that tension? Ooh, what's that about? I love it. What a loving act. When you're ready, release the arms, stretch, then take those feet wide again. I'm going to ask you to point and flex as kind of rapidly as you feel able to. So just point and flex, point and flex. And I'm hoping you're feeling just some nice lubricating up into the calf muscles, right through that Achilles tendon as well. Yeah, especially if you're somebody that doesn't really get up and down off the floor a lot or do those deeper bendings, this back line can get incredibly tight. All right, then if you would please slide onto your feet, keeping them wide. So it's like as if we were going into horse riding stance, but we are just going to rotate the right knee down and in. Stay on the sole of your left foot. Sometimes people drop that other leg to the outside, and I find that doesn't give you as good of a stretch and it tends to destabilize the low back. So keeping the left foot planted, let your right knee rotate down. And so the sole of the right foot is releasing. Well, if you get that deep, you got it. And notice if you can maybe press the knee a little to the floor. You can also release it and return it. Sometimes that kind of pulsing allows the body to release in a new way. You could also reach through the arm and pulse that. Sometimes I'll pull down like I'm pulling on a pulley and I'll bring my elbow back by my ribs and then I'll reach up again. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys chose to get here. It's a beautiful sunny day, but I know when these first cold days show up, you're like, I don't want to go anywhere. So this will hopefully keep you warm the whole week. When you're ready, go ahead and switch. Bring that left knee down. Again, we're curious, is this side different? Right? We're developing our theories, our clue train. When you feel complete, I'll invite you to bring the soles of the feet together in butterfly with the invitation to lay there a moment and just notice how that feels. And then when you're ready to raise the hips up off the floor just a little bit until you feel that beautiful inner line, low glute, inner thigh, pelvic floor. If you're feeling low back sensitivity, it could be that you're kind of arching your back and instead you need to kind of tuck the tailbone a little bit. Just experiment. We want this to feel sustainable. We're going to be here for another 45 seconds or so. What a sweet place. Concentrate on your breath. Maybe you want to open your arms out in jet airplane. Maybe very gentle rolling of the head side to side. And 3 points of introversion. You're hearing a nice sound out there, the ocean waves. More seconds. You could do this for 2 or 3 minutes if nothing is cramping up or what have you. It can be really, really wonderful. Then as you're ready, just release, let your legs go straight, and we'll come into abdominal pumping. Abdominal pumping can be such a game changer, can really up our life force. Bless you. As you're ready, inhale and slow, deep and wide, big Buddha belly. Exhale, empty the breath, hold out, and begin your pumping. So it's like you're saying, see how skinny I am, big Buddha belly. And if you're not getting abdominal movement, having the hands there might help you kind of tune in. This can be very helpful for people who struggle with anxiety and maybe do just chest breathing. Abdominal pumping can help wake up some of the diaphragmatic muscles and so on. My other favorite is compression and expansion breathing, deep emptying and then being filled. And we're going to come into that now. So as you're ready, on your next exhale, empty completely. We're going to add rock pose. So belly to spine, spine to floor, and then engage. Hands into fists, arms into sides, butt cheeks, thighs. Make sure the shoulder heads are sliding down. If you're kind of a chronic shrugger, notice it and know that you're going to have to really work hard to unwind that, as I am. I have to work on it every day. On the inhale, practice what it's like to just be soft and spacious and receive that big, beautiful breath. Notice it, the wave moving up your spine. Even imagine it coming again into the cranium. Continue. We'll do about 4 or 5 more, something like that. If you want to turn it into a sit-up motion, you can. If your neck is tight, look at that. Remember, you could have lion stretch, get a nice stretch through the jaw. That can feel pretty amazing. How's that feeling? Do you feel like you're able to consistently wake up more muscles? Maybe working those lat muscles as you kind of squeeze your arms in by your side body. Maybe adding pelvic floor so that that part of our body is awake and present for everything we're going to be doing today. Right. When you feel complete with that, you might bring both knees to belly again, just a little love up. Oh, a nice stretch through that low back. I want to give you the choice today of doing reclined pigeon, which is our kind of typical hip stretch. Or if you want to repeat with me, it's called pinwheel. We did this the other day. You could do that with me. And so it's a different stretch. The pigeon is going to get you more through the outside. Pinwheel is going to get you more into the inside. So maybe you decide to pick based on that. Also, knees can get irritated in pinwheel. Not as much as frog pose generally, but so I think most of you are familiar with reclined pigeon. If not, you can look at a person next to you who might be doing it. If you want to do pinwheel, you're going to just sit upright. And I'm going to have you take your knees, and again, it's kind of like a little pinwheel. And we want to have the knees at 90-degree angles. So I'm going to bring I think I taught this last time with the foot tucked in. I want to have you bring it out so you've actually got a 90-degree angle through the knee. And then the same thing, look at your back one, get it 90. And most of us will experience that the one butt cheek is not off the floor, and that's okay. We're not going to force it, but we're going to flex the feet. And we're going to just see what is it like to encourage that hip towards the floor. All right. Then I'm going to reach away from the back leg. So if my right leg is back, I'm going to bring both arms in front of me, palms facing away, fingertips rotating down. And I'm going to rotate away from the back leg. So I'm going left because I've got my right. And those of you who are in reclined pigeon, remember, just keep playing with angle and pressure before sending in breath. And then, of course, when you're ready, you will switch sides. One of the things that I love about hip stretches, again, whether it's stretching through the outer or the inner, etc., is they give us such a clue about the ways our body might not be even. It's pretty incredible. So again, I'm going to try and lower that back hip, and then I'm going to bring my arms up in front of me, hands flexed. Release. If you would join me briefly in our bridge with our foot cover. So you're just going to be on your back, plant those feet, shoulder blades in towards the side, raise the hips, and ever so slowly hover 1 foot at a time off the floor. And really curious, is one side feeling stronger or weaker? Yeah. And ideally, you're keeping the thighs the same height for the most part. So you're just barely lifting the foot off the floor. Yeah, nice. I'm looking at somebody's reminding me, you can bring your hands on your hip bones. It's kind of a measuring tool. So you're more likely to notice subtle dropping and so. When you're complete, release, notice what you love. I mean, that is the ultimate yoga practice, is when you ask your body and it goes, ooh, happy baby. You go, okay. Or it goes, ooh, I want half straddle. And you go, okay. Maybe it wants butterfly with the heels at the bottom. You're gonna do a little windshield wiper and see fine. Okay. I kind of wonder sometimes what it would be like and how much healthier we would be if one of our main commitments was to basically listen to the body and to say yes. As inconvenient as the request might be or what have you. I wonder what that would be like. All right, friends, we're going to come up to standing. If you've got a block handy, it might be nice to have, because we're going to be coming into ragdoll. And ragdoll, our knees are intentionally bent because I don't want the beefy, kind of stubborn hamstrings pulling on the back. I want them to be a little bit released. You'll still get a stretch there unless you're incredibly loose, which some people are, but most of us are not. So I'm going to start with my block as support. I've got it barely in front of my feet because I don't want to be reaching forward through to the front of the foot. I want to have my whole weight in the full foot bed. And you might have your block tall, you might have it in its lowest position. If using the block just isn't working, maybe it's too far to the floor, you can just use knees on knees on elbows. Well, kind of elbows on knees is what I meant, like so. Because we're going to be here for a little bit. I want it to feel sustainable. We're going to intentionally deepen our breath. So on those inhales, if you need to move the torso a little, give space, go for it. On the exhales, think about engaging belly towards spine. And that will help you fold more deeply. And progressively let the head hang. So if you're having a hard time folding forward much, please bend your knees more. I've got my knees bent so deeply that my belly is on my thighs, and it feels great. Where do you notice breath traveling in the body? In this position, I can often feel it into my upper back, like I'm getting a little massage there. Yeah, you might give your head a little yes shake, a little no shake. Let's do one more. On your inhale, please lower your butt and raise your torso so that you're in chair or bar stool. Beautiful. Then inhale, rise, big glute squeeze. And I also want you to squeeze with the thigh muscles towards the bone. Push the earth away. Ah, prayer hands. And invite you now to slide those hands up onto the neck like you're making a little collar. I'm not intertwining, it's just a nice, gentle kind of clamping and support so that you can roll the head around safely on that collar. And just tuning in, where do I feel tight or weird? And I'll sometimes add some intentional manual massage. So if you've got your hand and you kind of cup it a little bit, these fingers become very strong. And you can even just press right into the muscles on either side of the spine. I only do it one at a time usually, so that I can kind of let the head move. So, for example, massaging my right side, I've got my fingers just to the right of the spine, and I'm kind of pulling outward. I'm going cross fiber, and I'm letting my head go a little to the left and back up. And then switching, explore the other side. Kind of an interesting opportunity to notice if one side's a lot tighter. All right. We're going to then come into that scalene stretch that I've been promising you. You're welcome. So I want you to just be comfortably standing in what I call kind of an athletic stance so that, you know, your feet are a little bit wider than the mountain and you feel stable and you can, don't lock the knees. You know, you want to feel, again, strong in the legs. When we are supported, muscles are much more likely to release, right? So we want to feel like everything's super strong and stable, core present. I'm going to take my right arm out and I'm going to flex the fingertips down towards the floor. And then I'm going to look and just see if I can rotate a little more the arm elbow crease towards the ceiling. Now, some of us might already be feeling some interesting kind of nervy stuff. You're going to then take your face and rotate about 2 inches left. And then you're going to kind of nod 2 inches left. So I'm tilting also my head to the left. And then I'm going to reach my chin forward. And so as I take that chin forward, most of us will feel that sideline. So again, you rotate left, and then you cock your head, like say your left ear goes down, if that makes sense. And then you send your chin forward. And if there's anybody who's not feeling it, you can let me know. Don't get aggressive, right? These are very delicate muscles. So don't be reaching your head as hard as you can. All right, and then we're going to relax that. Take a moment and just kind of move your head. I already feel more like a weeble wobble. Like I just feel more loose. I don't know if you guys have that. We're going to do that same side again. We're going to hold a little longer. Any concerns, any questions or notices? Everyone's getting something good? Okay, great. I assume you are too. Awesome. So we're going to flex that hand down again. We're going to rotate as much as we can to see that elbow crease up. Rotate a little to the left. Pop a little to the left. Send that chin forward. We're going to hold for 30 seconds. And meanwhile, of course, we're going to breathe slowly and wide. Same arm. Yeah, we're doing the right arm again. If you've moved to doing the left, don't change now. That's fine. Just again, don't overdo. Remember that chin jutting, that makes a lot of it. And relax. And I'm hoping you guys understand what I'm saying by chin jutting. You know, these things are all such weird angles. It's kind of hard to describe. But so I rotate my head, I cock it, and then it's like you're sending your whole cranium a little forward, and that's what gets you into this stretch versus if you're back in neutral. Does that make sense? So hopefully it does. All right, we're gonna do one more time. This one and then up. Yeah, so whichever arm you're doing, you take your head away a couple inches, so your nose goes a couple inches to the side of center away from the arm, and then you cock it like your ear down, and then you send kind of the whole head forward through the chin. Again, I'm not coming up. I'm not tilting my head back. It's rotate, down, forward. All right, let's try it on the other side, see what you get. So you'll have to pick. If you already did both arms, you could return to the first arm, would be fine. I'm going to be using my left arm. I'm doing it twice on that side, but just do what you will so that you're even. So again, we're going to rotate our nose a couple inches away from the arm. Then I'm going to let my ear come a little towards the shoulder. And then I'm going to move my head forward. Good, that looks better. People aren't doing as many other things. Breathe and notice. Got about 10 more seconds. And release. Again, I can really feel how different my head just feels like somebody put it on different in a good way. Does anybody else feel that loosey goosey? Yeah, cool. Clicks. Some clicks in your neck. Cool. Yeah. A lot of the times, you know, when things are out of place, it's just things are so tight they can't get back in, you know, like so I think it sometimes as a silverware drawer jammed up, you know, like you can't get you get what I mean. All right. Flex those fingers down firmly. And I didn't say it, but again, make sure you're rotating that elbow crease. And actually, you know, I've been doing it with the arm straight out, but I think if you can bring it down a little bit, I'm remembering that now, it kind of enhances that stretch. Then again, you rotate your nose a little away from the arm, pop the ear down a little bit. Again, it's kind of 2 inches each, and then send head forward a little bit. So this stretch is really helpful for a lot of people who experience carpal tunnel-like symptoms. You know, frozen shoulder, all kinds of stuff this can be really useful for. Some of you will notice that this is very similar alignment to one of the nerve flossing exercises that I was given, that immediately that day took my quote unquote carpal tunnel-like symptoms. I say quote unquote because I knew I didn't have carpal tunnel. I knew it had way more to do with tension up through my chest and my neck. And myself and the physical therapist were proven right about that. Because it went from like a 7 level to like a 1 that day that I did the stretches. After 5 years of having the problem, by the way, coming and going, go ahead and release. Yeah, nice. I want to encourage you to just sort of explore, you know, like do some nice full circles. Notice there what you got going on. Marvelous. We're going to come to the mat and we're going to get one more juicy stretch in. If you want, you can look just briefly that what we're doing is reaching forward through one arm, but then rotating onto the blade of the hand. And then we're sending our ribs to the outside. And so that's going to intensify that stretch all the way through the tricep and into the armpit. And really, we're working the ulnar nerve stuff. If you can't hit your forehead to the floor, don't force it. And, you know, you can have your head suspended. So again, we're just going to walk one hand forward, rotate onto the blade of the hand. And I've got my hips a little behind my knees, by the way. If your hips are exactly above your knees, this might be more demanding than you really want it to be, okay? Then I've got my left arm forward. I'm going to send my ribs to the left. And that'll make sense to you when you do it. You'll feel, oh yeah, that's how I get to the edge. If this hurts, if you have a known shoulder issue and you're concerned about safety, obviously either don't do it at all or underdo it. Again, the further back your hips are, the less intense this will be. And again, you can support your head on the block. That will also make it less intense. And of course, the breath is the change agent, isn't it glorious? When you are ready to switch, do a very intentional engagement of core, kind of cat back style, so that you can come up without pushing off with that arm. Beautiful, nicely done. And then go into the other side. Again, sending those ribs to the outside will just deepen your edge. Let that breath, that beautiful breath, create space, create margins. And stay here as long as this is feeling useful. Do not let me rush your process ever. When you come out, swing those ribs back to neutral, then nice little cat back, more supported. And now we're going to go right into cow cat. So nice, intelligent hands. Inhale, tailbone draws back, heart draws forward. Exhaling, tuck the tailbone, let that head. As you continue, you can kind of play with things. You know, what I notice is in cat back, if I hang my head and I move it, I can instantly feel those deep connections up the back of the neck where we were manually massaging, right? For those of us that are tight anyway. All right. And we're going to do some nice core work here. So I'm going to ask you to come into stable table. So that means my core is supporting. I can release my hands for a clap. And then I'm going to simply release one hand at opposite knee. And just an inch, just hovering. And I want to check my body and make sure I didn't do any compensation of leaning or what have you. So it's all happening at center. Slowly return. And as you do the other hand and opposite knee, those of you who are chronic neck tight or shruggers, this is a great place to stand and stay as soft through the neck as you can. Obviously, you're having to use some muscles. And release. Nice. We're going to do a little calf stretch here. So as you're ready, take your right foot back. And I'm going to use my core more than my arms, but they're going to help me too. And I'm going to just push back and try and pulse, work my heel towards the wall behind, and then come forward. And press and come forward. And then I'm going to release that knee, give it a nice big circle, and then I'm going to hold out to the side and fire hydrant. In fire hydrant, again, ideally, I don't want to be leaning. I want both elbows straight because that's going to make my core do work. If I lean, now I'm just counterbalancing the leg with my body weight. I want these guys to do it. Yeah. So both elbows straight if you can. Briefly, maybe experiment with straightening the leg. Ooh, doggy. Then I'm going to have you bring that leg behind you and plant it to the left, left of the mat. And then swing it out to the right. And as you keep going, let your head journey along. So I'm going to look at my foot as it comes to the right, and then I'm going to look behind me to the left as it plants. Nice breath, of course. I should be using music with like more beat, more oomph, right? None of this relaxing, chunk. Come on, what's going on here? What is going on? All right, coming at you. All right, and bring that one back. And as you're ready, we'll take that left foot back, press the heel towards the floor or the wall behind you. And wow, boy, is my left side different. Anybody else got a distinct difference? Calf side? Yeah. And this can go all the way up to those connections in the cranium, literally all the way up. So if your neck is tight on one side, your hips might be involved. All right, as you're ready, give that knee a nice spiral. Get into your core so that when you then take that knee straight out to the side fire hydrant, you're not compensating. Now, it doesn't have to be as high as the hip. Just try. And then if you're ready, straighten the leg and we'll begin our swing. Bringing it behind and to the right and out to the left. This is a good way to build some heat, some core strength, yeah. And again, try to reduce the weight of the hands and reduce the compensation there. So your core is really holding it all together. Last one. And let's come into a little child's pose. Take the knees wide, hips back. If child's pose doesn't work great for your body, ragdoll can be a nice release as well. we're going to come into our quadriceps stretch. I really want to wake our quads up before we do our wall thing. And some people love standing, some people love belly. As many of you know, I've kind of fallen in love with the side body version because I feel like I can actually get more of a stretch through the whole front line, including psoas. So I come onto one side, and you can always take a block or a pillow or something if you want. But I'm going to keep my lower knee a little forward and bent as like a stabilizer, so I don't feel like I'm constantly wobbling and falling. I'm going to grab a hold of my other ankle, shoulder head down and back, so no shrugs. And then once you've got your ankle, please bring your knee back down into alignment with the hip. Okay, so just look at your own hip and knee and see if it's a nice flat surface you could put a teacup on the outer leg. And then see if you can send the glutes forward as you send your knee back. And that will bring you into your deeper stretch. And if you're able to have your head in alignment with the spine, that can be helpful too. But I know sometimes you need to prop. Breathe, notice. Oh, try to stay soft, loving whispers to those tight spots when you find them versus irritation. Yes, and if it's ever hard to reach that ankle, a reminder that looping a strap around can be nice as well. So never hesitate to play with that. This is done. Yeah, and I like try to hold for 5 or 6 breaths, which I think you've done nicely. And then as you're ready, you can flop onto the belly and on the other side or back on the other side, however you want to do it. So do notice when you get into your alignment, again, knee same height as hip, etc., and you send your glutes forward and the knee back, are you feeling any kind of stretch through that low abdomen, kind of in and around the hip bone? It may be that your psoas is really tight, and that can really affect low back. A lot of times people's low back pain can be psoas related because it pulls and torques on the pelvis. If you need any assistance of any sort, let me know. Otherwise, you guys look really good. Breathe. Notice, is this side different? When you come out, let's say you come onto your belly and let's just do a little forearm plank because it's not a good day without a forearm plank. So as you're ready on those forearms, shoulder head slide down the back. And again, I always come onto my knees first, just so that I can kind of check, how's my back feeling? What's my neck doing? And then as I'm ready, I may come onto my feet. If you're on feet, make sure to remember, squeeze inner thighs like you've got a block there and power your thigh bones to the sky. So this is another place where firing up those quadriceps puts you in a position of strength and stability. And if your heels rotate open even a little bit, it's going to affect your comfort and strength in the pose. So you guys are looking good. That fake block is working for you. Isn't imagination a wonderful thing? Breathe, notice, stay as long as it's feeling great. And then we're going to make our little journey over to the wall. You can take your mat so the end of it is facing the wall. Okay. So sometimes people find getting into this pose a little bit difficult. The key really is kind of how you start. So I'm going to talk through that. Let me see if I can get this there. I think that's pretty good. All right. So it doesn't matter which hip you want to put up against the wall first, but generally, just have your strap within reach for when going down. Generally, what you want to do is scooch your hip up against the wall like this. And then you kind of come down onto your elbows and you kick one leg up the wall. And then later you'll follow with the other leg. So I put down on my elbows, bring that first leg up. And then as I lay down, the second leg comes up. And then I can continue to kind of scooch until my butt is at the wall. Now, some of us If our butt is at the wall, we'll not be able to straighten the legs. And that's okay, don't worry about it. If you're just too uncomfortable with your butt as close as it is and you need to shift backward, you can, okay? I know scooching on the yoga mat is easier said than done, but it's nice to have a little bit of padding, right? So we're gonna take this strap and we're gonna hook it onto our right foot. And you can kind of play with it, having it either like at the arch or more like under the ball of the feet a little bit. You don't want it like under the toes, because obviously that would be awkward. And you can do whatever you want with your left leg. If you want to have the sole of the foot on the wall, or let it drop down in like a butterfly, it's really like just whatever feels good to you. Turn up the music just so you can hear me better, especially on the video. Okay, so you've just got the strap on one foot, just on the right. And make sure your shoulders are down the back body and so on. And so I'm going to ask you first to extend, just notice what flexion feels like. So I'm flexing through my heel, and I want to see if I can actually get my legs straight. Again, if you cannot, don't worry about it. Just do your best, okay? Then I'm going to have you very intentionally just pull more with the right hand to evert the foot. We played with this a long time ago, well, months ago, with that other fascia stretch. So I'm actively bringing the blade of my foot towards me and letting the ball of the big toe side, the inner foot, go away from me a little bit. All right. And I'm going to hold this and stretch here for about 20 seconds. And of course, you're breathing, you're letting your neck get soft. Okay, let that go. If you want to counter point your foot or anything else, we're going to come back in and we're going to do the opposite. We're going to pull on the left side. So flex the foot first. See if you can pop your quadricep, that front of the thigh. See if you can fire it up. Sometimes I have to take my hand there and kind of engage and flex the muscle under my touch. Then with that foot flexed, just pull more on the left side of the strap, so that you're inverting the foot. The blade of the foot's going away from you, and then the inner foot's kind of coming towards you. And of course, you're gonna let me know that if this isn't making sense. And we're just stretching one leg right now, the right leg. Or whichever one you started with, but we're doing the evert and the invert on the same leg. It's interesting how different the sensations are between the evert and the invert, am I right? Yeah. All right, and then let that go. Whew. Wow, I feel like kind of buzzy in my right leg. Do you guys feel that? Yeah, good. It's a nice circulation. All right, let's switch her up. And again, you can do whatever you want with the leg that you're not stretching. And again, we want to fire up that quadricep, boom, and you want your foot straight up above your hip. You don't want to be like to the outside or anything. Although that can be some yummy stretching too. So as you're ready, both hands on the strap, we're going to flex the foot, and I'm just going to pull first more with the left side to evert the foot. So the blade of the foot is coming towards me, and the inner line of the foot is going a little bit away. And if you can't get that, don't worry overly much. It's more important that you're engaging your quad and that you're flexing the foot and pulling on the strap. And breathing. And make sure as you're using your upper body strength to apply pressure on the strap, that it's not coming from the neck or the trapezius muscles, right? This should be happening in the arms and a little bit perhaps in your pecs and lat muscles, but not up into the upper neck and shoulders. All right, when you're ready, relax it and then pull on the right side more to invert the foot and make sure you're flexing firmly. You are pressing your heel towards the ceiling. You're engaging the quadricep towards the wall. breathing, noticing, tuning in. I feel like progressively, if we want to live a quality life, we have to hone our skills of focus and tuning, because otherwise our attention just gets absconded with by everything. Like so much going on, constantly being pinged. All right, and then these six, nice. You might want to point, flex, etc. And then one of my favorite stretches is what I'm going to offer you as kind of a shavasana. If you don't like it, you'll just come out, but you stay right where you are. You can put the strap around your thighs to hold your legs straight up, but my favorite stretches are letting the legs go out in a straddle and letting gravity support the stretch, or bringing the feet together in butterfly and letting the wall support. Please note, if you let them go out in the straddle, when you choose to come out, please, please, please use your hands. I don't want that deep inner thigh line to be in its most elongated position, trying to contract and bring your heavy legs back. If that makes sense. So you want to help it up a little bit and then throw a bend the knee to come out, or however you want to do it. If you want to come away from the wall now or later, simply bring your knees together, feet bent on the wall, and then roll to one side in embryo pose. And you can even finish out the rest of your resting time there if you wanted to. Does anybody need anything in your current location? I'd be happy to be a runner. If you need a blanket, for example, to be comfortable to the box. Remember when I was saying, what would life be like if we just said yes when the body expressed a desire? This could be one of those moments where it's kind of like, I really would. Oh, I don't want to bother her. So if you change your mind, just give me a little wave. So as you're choosing to settle in, you can once again employ some of those points of introversion, the deep inner gaze, the light connection of the tip of the tongue if you'd like, or you can let the whole tongue, jaw, cheeks soften and relax if you're going to sleep. You can begin to witness the breath steadying and slowing until it feels like the breath of a baby napping. Is there any part of you holding on, anticipating more doing, more accomplishment in this life? Perhaps you can offer a few words of seduction to your body. Sweet nothings, whispers, say, there's nothing to know or accomplish. This is a time to sink and settle for deep rest and integration. I use this moment 11, to hold clearly and deeply in your thoughts, particular word or feeling or mantra, intention. I can be aware of my voice, stay deeply introverted. I invite you to return to the breath blocks that we began with. And do a few rounds of holding out and holding in. If you like, you can add intention to this as well. During holding out, you are actually creating a vacuum of spaciousness. You might almost think of it like tilling fertile soil, preparing for seeds. And even as you exhale, you think about just emptying anything that's no longer serving you, pattern, thought form. And on the inhale, you're bringing in any of the seeds that you would like to plant and fertilize. And as you hold in, you can see that energy circulating throughout the system. Wishing whole and well, safe and joyous. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. You know, if you enjoyed that little 11-11 exercise, it would be 11-11 tonight too. Just saying. You can stay up that late. Thanks for being here with us.
Oh, thank you. Take care. All
You
right.
too.
Yep. We'll see you next week.
Looking forward to it.
Yep. Bye.